this gonna work? Maybe this will work. I have to turn off my heater to make a video. That's a bummer because it really provides so much excellent warmth. I just wanted to make kind of a, I don't know how to say, like an aftercare video or something for the last video. It's like a pretty intense video. That was the idea. I was feeling immensely something agonized that day, and I thought, well, let's use that energy, and because that was the kind of energy that motivated Radical Rewind to begin with. You don't get a piece like Radical Rewind. At least I don't get a piece like Radical Rewind without real something struggle going into it. And so it's great. I love this last video, the spoiler edition video or whatever stupid thing I titled it. It exposes something important about all this. I don't know. Just the pain that can come with doing this thing. Whatever it is, it's really hard to talk about it. It's somehow it's about giving birth or rebirth to God in your head. Seems it probably drove Nietzsche mad. He almost incarnated it, but it aborted somehow. Jung found some way to make it in the end. And I guess I have too. I think I think it's done. And I don't know exactly what it means that it's done. Because I'm not done growing and changing as a person. But the launching of the Godchild up into the star, whatever this is, weird image, that's maybe now accomplished. I think because if Radical Rewind was the picture side, then the spoiler edition is the logos side. So we have the pictures, and now we have the verbal explanation, and that's pretty much it. I don't have a whole lot left to say about it, really. There are things I didn't mention, of course, in the last video. I don't go into all sorts of subtleties about the piece, and specifically, I don't mention the kind of temporal clustering phenomenon which maybe I guess I can just add right here in this addendum or whatever it is. Say that there seems to be a discernible tendency for the matches to appear together in time. You get many of them all at once. So it's not. In other words, it doesn't really look like this. It's not like here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one, kind of sparsely through the film. It's like you get little bits of them starting to constellate, and then they become full matches, and then there's like a bunch of them. There might be... In Hellraiser 3, there's a place where there must be, I don't know, 30 or 40 of them or something in the space of... I don't actually know, I never counted. It would have been far too painful to have counted them. The Hellraiser 3, that's another one people can go back and watch. If you want like another kind of like emotional sync blowout weird your head like video. The Hellraiser 3 one was a challenge for me. That was a difficult video. Because that's where I first learned to see the matches. Before that, I was just seeing what I now call the signatures, the actual red twins markings and the numeroglyphs on the clocks and things like that. I didn't see yet how the elements were adding up to a complete picture match. I discovered that while editing the Hellraiser 3 video, so yeah, it's a really strange one. But anyway, it's like in the space of like 5 minutes or something, there's like a dump of like 20 to 40 of these matches. I should count it at some point. I could probably do that now. And then they go away, and then they appear again, and then there's a whole bunch of them again. So it follows this very predictable wave shape, and that's across many of these films. It's not like just one or two of them have that kind of structure. They just usually do. Absolutely wild, that kind of stuff. So there are kind of meta pattern aspects to this that are complicated that I didn't go into. This is all kind of, who cares anyway. At some point, a neural network is going to feature detect these features. I don't know exactly when or how that's going to happen. I think it's pretty imminent, because we already have something called Netflix that uses a neural net to try to create categories of films. I think it's just that they don't have any reason to have... Sorry, I'm bridging into kind of another weird topic here for a second, but I think it's because they don't have any reason to have an object map. Like, they're not probably like trying to understand the movie at that level of granularity. Like, but they're going to once they have like VR tracking situation where you can know where people are looking, because eye tracking is going to be built into these VR headsets. So if VR takes off as a platform and a lot of people are watching movies in VR, where you're looking is going to become a metric that a company like Netflix could use in combination with an object map, a map of what things appear where in a film. Then they know, okay, you're looking at this part of the frame, that means you're looking at this object in the frame. And then they can say, oh, every time this box of Cheerios, anytime there's fast food or something, this person's like always like staring right at it. And maybe there are other biometrics in this sort of terrible future that they can know. They're like, oh, he's salivating now as well. So then they can advertise those things at you. Also, they could use it to psychologically profile you and learn many personal things about you, probably. And if someday people understand the psyche a little bit better, they might also be able to use that kind of information in combination with, let's say, kind of future magical, complicated models of the psyche to really learn some things about you. So I find that all rather frightening and dystopic, but a side effect of it is that that's almost bound to detect the constellation, because it manifests across many layers of the image at once. Once they have an object map, they're going to start to notice probably strange clusterings in some of these films. If any of it exists. I mean, of course, I'm still open to the possibility that this could be a very strange mirage, big screen memory process that's maybe someday soon is going to unlock a traumatic memory that I've repressed away, or, maybe Mr. N is someone very personal in my past. I'm open to ideas like that, I can't know that from where I'm at now, though. It doesn't look that way to me from where I'm at now. Right now, it still looks like objective paranormality. So, my arm's getting tired. I'm going to switch my other hand. um, I'm feeling a need to sort of change my approach on this channel, I think, because I love the process of documenting these matches. I really do enjoy it. And I can finally say I'm at a place with them where I can come across a match and not be frightened by it. And now that I'm no longer frightened of them, and it's purely because they've become so commonplace, I've just finally accepted that they exist, you see. The matches really do exist. They might not mean what I think they mean, but they exist as some kind of an objective thing that I can encounter in my subjectivity. I'm mixing things there in a funny way, but in my field of experience, the Red Twins constellation is just definitely a thing. It's a thing that I encounter. And I've encountered it so much that I know it really well. And so when they start to appear, I mean, I can really predict lots of things about the manner in which they're going to appear. And like I said before, that wave shape, I know that when I start detecting those rustlings, that there's going to be a big cache coming. And I really, guys, this is accurate now. I will sit down with the film and I'll start noting the signatures, and it's just like clockwork. You get the caches. And I can predict which films are going to have those caches on the basis of their posters, typically, by just doing a markup on the posters. So, that's happened to me so much now. Go look at my IMDb list. Have we cracked 100 movies yet? I don't think so. We're not quite over 100. Maybe we're nowhere near there, but I think there's definitely over 60. I think there's really probably over 70 by now. In any case, a whole bunch of movies. So I really, I've been through the ringer on this thing. And so now that they're kind of, in a way, almost boring, or somehow, of course they're not boring. That's completely the wrong thing to say, but I'm never bored by them. That's rather part of the problem. I'm never going to get bored of hunting them and finding them. And, and actually now hunting is inaccurate. It used to be that I hunted them. Now they just they find me. They really do. These films just fall into my lap. There's always that aspect a little bit. There's always kind of the next one got lined up right away. But now it's just like there's more material than I can deal with. It's really strange. People in my life will send me things or mention things to me that are just perfect, It is as if I've charged up some kind of crazy luck magnet that has both positive and negative poles to it. And I'm attracting kind of increasingly, insane luck levels, but kind of in many directions. It's a good thing that my personality is also becoming more and more robust, such that I can navigate and survive all these crazy, stressful apocalypses that are happening. I'm still upset about my whole situation. I'm not going to talk about it anymore because, I've said enough about it, and it really does start to feel like some kind of weird, passive-aggressive thing or something, talking about one's personal life on a YouTube channel. I think I was justified in doing it in the last piece. It fit with the video and helped make a point, that's all. But I made the decision a while ago that, what's important for me on this channel is to have emotional transparency and vulnerability. I want to show up for this with my complete self. And that means allowing many aspects of myself to be seen that I find rather mortifying and embarrassing. Including, like the depth of feeling that I can develop for a person so quickly and so weirdly, and includes things like just showing the intensity with which I relate to my art practice and to these weird ideas about it, and to the just the pain of these ideas, really. I have to hold all these ideas in my head. It hurts often, is all. And so it hurts to do the work, although the work is also very rewarding. And I'm now sort of wondering how much I'm benefiting and how much anyone else is benefiting from documenting more and more and more matches. There's so many to document. I mean, at the rate I'm going, there's no way I'll ever complete them all in a lifetime, I don't think. I'm just looking at like the size of this as it appears, because it doesn't end with films. It extends into all, we looked at these a little bit in the last Moonwalker part, like it extends into all this album art from all these things, all these comic books also, and then all these books, and it's just all over the place, this thing. I mean, it just came out everywhere, this thing. A huge transmission. Whew. I'm tired. It's late. I went to a Halloween party. It's fun. I met some old college friends there, actually, who I think I'll hang out with again, so. I'm feeling, fine, more or less. It's just... The issue with the matches, though, is that I love them all, Every one of them is a perfect... it's just, they're so silly on some level. These funny little animals, these matches. Each one has its own little personality, and it expresses the image in its own perfect little way. I have to I have to kind of trivialize it just to talk about it. Because Jesus are not little anything. They're infinity holes in the image that are very potent things to see once you see them. So I'm afraid of them, and I love them, and I don't know that I'll ever be able to stop looking at them and thinking about them. And I have no idea if I will or won't continue to make videos in the style I'm currently making. It really would be nice to finish Moonwalker. On the other hand, I kind of like the idea of leaving these things unfinished as well. But what I'm kind of feeling an urge to do, actually, is to just do analysis on other sync videos. I feel like this was an interesting and pretty successful thing to do an analysis on my own work. But wouldn't it be great to do an analysis of like some of Jake Kotz's work or David Plate's work, or Joe Alexander's work, or just any of the great things that are out there. Because I don't know, there aren't a lot of people out there yet that understand this kind of art. And I think I'm pretty good at talking about it. And I think I really appreciate what guys like Alan Green and, people we mentioned, David Plate and so on, are doing. Actually, I'm getting excited now just thinking about it. Wouldn't it be fantastic to do an analysis of Cassandra? Because it's such a huge epic thing. require many parts to get through, which I just like, I guess, for some reason. It gives me something to do, gives this part of my brain something to a way to worship, let's put it that way. I'm going to need that, I think, for the rest of my life now. This is alive now. That was the point of rebirthing the God. So now I need to develop a healthy spiritual practice around it. And I'm going to do that on this channel somehow. And I think maybe this is a good way to kind of start that. Maybe we can start by now branching into other sync art. I just don't have anything left. I feel that I don't have anything left to say really about the 9/11 precog issue. I think I've said maybe all I have to say about it. Look, I'm always happy to talk about it. It's my favorite topic. And I'm sure I will continue to think about it and talk about it. So I'm lying a little bit. I'm going to have more things to say about it. But I feel that the critical pass is probably finished here. I feel I answered it. I answered my question. My question was, what the fuck is going on with Prince of Darkness? That was really my question. My question was so simple back then. I was just watching that movie and certain that there was something, real in it. That somehow the fiction was not a fiction. And I couldn't figure out what that was about. And I went through so many stages of that film, understanding more and more of it. And now I finally see the thing that I already saw, but just kind of the glimmer of initially, which is, it's a film in the constellation, and all of that other magic in it is kind of orbiting around the central 9/11 precognitive images in it, and it receives a ton of beautiful matches. Prince of Darkness has some really beautiful ones. They're a little more conceptual, which I find interesting. It makes me wonder about John Carpenter's brain a little bit. But they come through strongly as images as well. In the Mouth of Madness as well. Same thing. Those two films were bothering me. And they, in a way, they no longer bother me. Now I know what they're about. They really are films about the end of time. And I'm satisfied with that, I think. Until someone comes along and says, hey, look how this doesn't work. And, I can already kind of imagine the ways in which people are going to say this doesn't work. Like, for instance, it's going to be said, well, the projection space, it's too wide. So it means you can connect anything to anything. And then, okay, maybe that's true. I don't know. I just know that for some reason, though, I felt compelled to do that, though. I felt compelled to, attach a bunch of images to 9/11 and find them in other images. And, I don't know, this has been a crazy ride. For me, it's just not going to work to kind of just dismiss the whole thing in that kind of way. I don't really care what the objective sort of statistical picture ends up being. I do care. I'm very fascinated by that question. I would love to know the answer to it, one way or the other. But it doesn't change anything about what happened to me, what happened inside of me, that happened through these images, But perhaps the images are even incidental. Maybe I just, who knows. But the changes are quite real and profound. And, it's quite amazing, I really think I'm stronger and healthier than I've ever been in my life. Synchronicity is a very, very potent medicine. Like any potent medicine, it can harm you. The line between medicine and poison is often very thin. And I think that's a big part of why myself and other people have been feeling a need recently to let some of the darkness to our public expressions of sync, because I think it's very tricky for us. I mean, we're really walking a delicate tightrope with all this stuff in many ways, of course. But on the one hand, you don't want to alienate people. And you feel like, gosh, you're asking people to think so far outside the box, maybe, of what they feel comfortable thinking, and anyway, just at the basic level of, like, even for some things, I think at the basic level, like, even if you extract the 9/11 sync aspect, which some of us are just very unfortunately, like, doomed to be preoccupied with, just the sync idea can be a threatening and disturbing idea for people. I think just taking art seriously and taking the meaning of it seriously is a scary thing to a lot of people. So you don't want to then also sort of heap on top of that a kind of like, I'm like a crazy person that's barely keeping it together kind of energy. First of all, because that's not always true. And I'm not sure that that's ever been sort of like terminally true or something for me. Like, I don't think I've ever been in such a state that I was like a physical danger to myself or any other person or anything. I had some actually I did experience states like that, but earlier in my life when I was more repressed. When I was very repressed about stuff, I would flip into these like modes where I would have these huge dramatic kind of like self-harm spectacles and things. I don't do that stuff anymore and haven't for like a long while, and it was the sync experience that liberated me from that particular set of problems, which were very bad problems actually, that probably easily could have escalated and ended in some kind of disaster for me. So I really owe quite a lot to this thing. But I just want to make sure that if people drink this particular medicine, that they drink it responsibly. It's not something really to be consumed lightly, and I think that the new age kind of thing that encourages you to play with it is beautiful, but also potentially a little dangerous. Because my big image is still Doc being electrocuted. It's the tendency of this thing to bite you very suddenly. And maybe that doesn't happen for most people or all people or something, but it happens to some people because it happened to me that way. I kind of didn't realize exactly what I was getting into. And it was like, funny numbers, little patterns, poke, poke, poke. And then, boom, one day there's just like an avalanche of like strange ideas. And and now I have so many strange ideas, I have to have this insane YouTube channel that to contain some tiny fraction of them, just so that I can feel like some of them are like I'm releasing some amount of them from my head, to give myself some little like respite or something from intensity of thing. But I'm not feeling anymore the like the need to. Yeah, well, this is what I just got through saying, to solve the Red Twins constellation. It's solved to the extent that it can be solved. I mean, it's not a solvable thing, but I mean that it's mapped. I mapped it out to my satisfaction anyway. So, wow, holy fucking shit. What a pile of work, man. This has been a real fuck. This was the project, I guess. I don't think I'm ever going to work on another project like this. Working on my album is great, and it's going to be a huge creative release for me. But this Red Twins thing was something special. It's currently no one can even relate to it outside of the sync community as anything other than maybe kind of like very just a strange person dumping their ideas into like a YouTube vlog thing or something. But I know that it's rather more than that. It's at least a pretty creative video series with a lot of interesting formal invention to do with connecting pop media in weird visual ways, you know. I had a lot of fun with it. And again, I'm not saying that this is like the end of the sync videos or something. It's most definitely not. It's just that I want to play with the format again, I think. So I'm not sure exactly what that's going to mean. I really do like the idea, like I said, of analyzing some other sync videos. I think I'll try to do that next. I might jump in with something a little shorter. I might jump back to... I might begin with Back to the Future Predicts, just because it's such an important one, you know. Kind of work my way up to the bigger works of art. And also, I guess maybe I'll ask these people if they wouldn't mind me talking over their pieces and maybe kind of explaining the joke or something, because that's sort of what I do, I guess. I guess in the end, I'm really a very, very rebellious magician, because I've decided to make it my life mission to reveal all of the tricks, you know. Say, oh, magician never reveals their secrets, but that was the way in the old world. The new world picture is revealing the secret. That's just the way it's going to be, I think. So let's make the magic and talk about it at the same time. Turns out you can do that, I think. Talking about it doesn't kill it. That's some very silly idea that happens when the integration isn't complete. You worry about it, that talking about it is going to make it go away. And at that stage it might, because you haven't forged the bridge yet. So the right hemisphere is still very distant from you. And when you go back into language, it recedes. Once you've forged the bridge, which is the green thing in the middle, which we learned from Radical Rewind, which is the same thing as Kid Atomic. So the divine child is the bridge between the hemispheres, I think. And the divine child relates very much to the heart. Somehow. Of course, red and blue flow in and out of the heart, the way that we depict the cardiovascular system. And actually there's an image in the Red Book that really picks that up, emphasizes that as well. Funny. Once you've forged that bridge, though, it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. And you can talk about it forever and know that you will never exhaust it. Because language can only approach it. Yeah, it would be interesting. This is a crazy idea and would be a huge amount of work. But I'm going to float it as an idea anyway, because I just think it's a cool idea. It would be really neat to go back to the very first Red Twins Constellation video and do the same kind of thing, like analyze it. What if I just wrapped it around and we did like a spiral maneuver now, where I just went in and analyzed my own work starting at Red Twins episode 1 and wrapped back around to present day in a kind of Twin Pines Mall concept. I think I said idea too much in the last video, so I'm trying to say concept now. There's only so many words that you can use to suggest this notion of like a clustering of conceptual things, you know, abstract, mental abstract things, you know. Well, so anyway, gosh, I am fucking tired. I am exhausted. So I'm gonna go to bed. And maybe we'll just release this without any editing. Yeah. All right. See you in the future. Bye-bye.